Right. See guys, I'm writing the code. There are two files are very importantly we need to maintain. One is the POM class. I'm writing this code for login page to check whether it is successfully writing or not. But here I'm not going to use a PyTest code. I will write only the methods. I will write a methods where they will be utilized in the test cases where the PyTest is going to happen. There are two files are going to be written. Firstly, let me write so that you will be get to know. You know, yeah, yeah. So here what I'm doing here is that I'm creating there is a class test underscore or else login page. There is a login page. The class name is a login page. See, whenever if you don't follow the PyTest concept, you need not to follow any kind of a PyTest conventions. Therefore, I'm not using test keyword here. So what I'm doing here, I'll be writing uh, some kind of a variables within the class. The variables are textbox underscore username. Yeah. So here I'm taking there is a web locator called as an email. Why? Because so here there will be a web locator for this particular text box is email. So let me show you that the web locator. Uh, class loan email. So if you look at here, yeah. So if you look at here, there will be a ID is equal to email and the name is equal to email or the yeah. So this is the web locator for this particular text box, whereas password. So there will be a web locator called as a password. P is capital, is a password. And comes to the login, there is a login. So where I think you don't find any kind of a name or ID, therefore we have to take an XPath. So let's go back to the code, isn't it? So here email is the web locator for this particular user ID to be recognized. So whereas password underscore ID is the object where I will be create. P is the capital password. And there will be a button to be recognized, isn't it? So the XPath will be we can take XPath from the let's 1 second. Just hold on, please. We can take the XPath. We can take the XPath. Yeah. So this is the XPath for the login button. Yeah. So now we have the three important web locators. Now it's time to write the methods. So one is a method where, obviously we need to create the constructor. The constructor is double underscore init double underscore. That's a constructor where we supposed to be, we need to call self dot driver is equal to, isn't it, driver. So we have already, we have declared in the conf test dot right. So where we supposed to be taken. So in this conf test dot py, I have written the driver object where it is returning the driver such a way that we are going to call that particular driver over here, isn't it? Yes. Right. So this is the constructor, we can say. This is called as a constructor. According to the object-oriented programming, this is called constructor. This is called constructor. Right. So the next method is that definition set username, because we wanted to take a username that we are going to write it as a method. So where I'm going to write a formal parameter called as a username, formal parameter called as a username. Now we are going to call username, like, username text is equal to self dot driver dot find underscore find underscore element by dot by dot, either you take ID, you can take ID. The ID will be here. Is supposed to understand already we have stored the no username in this text box underscore username underscore ID. Therefore, that we supposed to be call here. Here text box. Hold on. Yeah. So here we have written text box underscore username underscore ID is supposed to be, isn't it? So then similarly, user, and here we supposed to be clear the existing data if it is, because whenever you look at the whenever you look at the page, this admin@yourstore.com already built-in username is available. You're just trying to clear it off. So username and password. Therefore, please you go back to the application and username text dot clear need to be here. Clear. And now we supposed to pass, user text dot send underscore keys. Send underscore keys. So where username is supposed to be passed. Yeah. So this is the one method where we are going to return for the one method to pass the username to the corresponding web application. In a similar way, we are going to write for the you know sending the password also. Set password. Set password is the name of the method. That's your wish. I'm not forcing you to keep the name of the method like the same way you am giving here. So you can write as such as you are going to give. So PW2 is the password where is supposed to write. Here what I'm going to do here, the password is going to be given like this. Yeah. So here is that. So we have recognized the password as well as we have clear it off, and password will be sent as a password. There is another method is that definition click. So here the button need to be clicked. So therefore that, obviously we supposed to have a X path. For that reason, self dot driver dot, find underscore element, find underscore element. So where by dot xpath, the xpath I have already, the xpath we have declared within the, button underscore login, that already we have declared, above xpath. Yeah. So this is the method where we're supposed to be click the operation. We're supposed to perform the operation called as a click operation. Clear. So now we have written the only methods into this POM class for the login page. Now we're supposed to go to the another page is that we're supposed to create now. Within the test cases, we need to write there is a file is called as another file. We need to create another file is that for writing a PyTest file now. So test underscore login. Test underscore login, because we are following in this file PyTest framework rules, naming conventions. Therefore, I'm writing the file name as test underscore login, isn't it? So what kind of code I'm going to write here? I'll be writing a code. I'll be writing a code in this. Yeah, yeah. So here I'm going to write from the Selenium import WebDriver, isn't it? Import PyTest. So here, so what else we want? See here, we wanted to be communicate between test cases package as well as page objects concept, so that from the from the page objects directory, dot pym class import login page need to be imported. This is the concept. We know that page objects is the package, which is this is the package within which there is a module name called as a POM underscore class. This one. From there, there is a class name is called as a login page. So this is the line is mandatory, isn't it? Right. So afterwards, you just give some break and try to be declared class test underscore 001 underscore login. This is the class. So here, certain code will be, a relation between the another file. That is, there will be a utilities folder. That will be a utilities folder. So utilities folder consisting of there is a read properties folder. So what kind of code we supposed to write under the utilities folder? Let me explain to you. So afterwards, I'll be come back to this particular. There is a integration process between them. So we need to be combine all of them each other. So under the under the utilities folder, I'm going to create, there is a one Python file. There is a Python file. Is that read properties folder we need to create. There is a file I'm going to write it, read properties. Read properties is the file. So where we supposed to write a code under the read properties folder. See here, if you look at, there is a relation between There is a relation between the read properties folder is going to be read by the config.ini. So config.ini is going to be collaborate under the configurations file and utilities folder. These two files will be communicate each other in order to read the common values from there. So therefore here what I'm going to do. So in order to do this, we're supposed to be import configure parser. Config parser is the built-in package we need to import. Config parser need to be import, isn't it? So here I'm going to create config. Config is equal to config parser dot, raw config parser. Raw config parser is to be method needs to be called, and config dot read. Config dot read is the method we specify where config dot ini file will be available. Config dot ini file is available within configuration, configurations, config, config dot ini. Config dot ini is the file which is there in this particular file. So here we are going to write, we are going to declare the class where the class will be read config. Read config is the file. So where we are going to define, method get application URL. Get application URL is the method. So where I need not to be specify as the class method, I'm making it as an annotation that, static method. Static method is the by default annotator, which is the decorator. I'm making it as. Now URL is equal to config dot get, config dot get. So here where the URL is there, common info, common info, comma. So there is a base URL. So from where I'm getting this in the configuration, common info is the name of the heading. From there, base URL I have taken into this particular re properties folder. That's the two properties or two parameters will be passed as part of the getting method. So clear? So now afterwards it is going to return. Now it is going to return URL. See the application which you wanted to test will be passes as the parameter written to the this particular file where the test file you are writing here. So there is a relation. Therefore, I'm writing here. Just yeah. So next method is that. Next method is that then class then call this manager. Mm, mm. Get username. So to get the URL, I have written one method. To get the username, I'll be writing another method. To get the password, I'll write another method. So username is equal to config dot get. So same, whatever the same thing. Common info. Common info is consisting that data. Common info, comma. There is a username called, user email. User email. This user email will be come from the test.config. Config.ini file will be having, user email will come from there. Okay. Okay. So now obviously it will be written username. Similarly, definition get password, get password. So where we are going to get the password. So self is not required. All are the static methods. So now here is that password is an object where I'm going to get config dot get, where the parameter will be common info, comma, password, common info dot password, return password. So now this read properties file is done. This particular file will be communicate with a test underscore login now. So why I have written suddenly that particular file is because we'll be get the URL, username, password from the read underscore properties file, which is declared within the utilities folder. Therefore, I just stop this program and comes back to here. So now I'm going to write a program for this particular file now. Yeah. So now you just try to understand here. I'm writing a class name, and according to the like so there is a base URL base URL will be comes from the read underscore properties. Like before going to that, there is another importing need to be happen here from the utilities package dot read underscore property import read underscore read config. So because the communication between read properties and config ini. Now communication between read properties and test login. So these two files need to be communicate each other. This particular line is mandatory now. So this all the concept of package models and functions concept. So now if I write read underscore config will come from the read properties dot get get application URL. Get application URL comes from where this particular method have written under read properties. Like where it is there, you see get underscore application URL. Okay. Now I'm going to get this particular data. That's all. So once if we write the base URL, which is the https admin at the rate demo ecommerce.com will be comes into base URL. Now what is the username? Username is equal to read config dot get username. Okay. Now password password is equal to read underscore read config dot get password. Isn't it? This is the password you are going to get. Now what I'm writing within the class, I'm writing two test methods within the PyTest. One is definition, definition, test underscore, home page, title. See, after login, the title is going to match or not. I wanted to test. So what I'm doing here, self comma setup method we need to call. Setup is what? Setup has been declared as a fixer within this particular config.test.com. Setup will be called over here. So within the test log. Yes or no? Okay. After this calling, so what I'm doing here, self dot driver is equal to setup. Yes or no? Okay. So afterwards, what I'm doing here, yeah. So obviously, there will be self dot driver dot self dot driver dot get is the method. Within this self dot base URL we need to take because the base URL is going to be an application which you wanted to load. So the URL will be, https colon, admin dot no ecommerce demo.com is the URL is going to be loaded here. See what I'm going to do here. I'm trying to check actual title. Actual title is equal to self dot driver dot title. I'm getting the after login successful. I'm just checking the title. Is that equal or not? So actual, what is the title? If 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 actual title is equal to actual title is equal to your store your store dot login. This is the URL whenever you are going to load the file. Now, if this URL is okay, then I'm going to make it as a true, isn't it? So afterwards, what I'm going to do, self dot driver dot, I'm going to close the application, isn't it? So else, obviously, else what happens? Else, obviously, asset false. The test case is going to be failed. This is the one method, title matching method, just for the two tests we supposed to write. Now another test is that another test case is that test underscore login is the another test case I'm writing. Test underscore login is another test case. Self comma setup. This is mandatory, isn't it? Self dot driver is equal to setup. Clear? Afterwards, we have to get the URL self dot driver dot get. What we are going to get? So we are going to get, self dot base URL we are going to get. Base URL we are going to get. After getting the base URL, we are going to create an object for the class we have declared in the POM class. What I'm doing here? Here, create an object for the class declared within POM underscore class. Right? What is the object I'm trying to create? Self dot I'm creating LP login page. This is an object. LP is the login page. What is the login page is the class now. For login page, what we supposed to pass? For login page, we supposed to pass self dot driver. We need to pass as the actual parameter. So if we pass the driver such a way that web driver dot edge, that particular driver is going to be loaded and it will be comes to here, isn't it? So after calling that, after successfully object is created, now methods are going to call self dot lp login page is an object dot method name is what? Method name is set username. Set username. Where is that? Yes, set username is the method. So what is the username here? The username is that self dot username is username. Here there is a method username. Yes, it's a function actually. Yes or no? Similarly, self dot object name is login page dot set password. Set password is going to call self dot password. Password. Next, self drive click login. Click login is the method. So where we need not to pass any kind of a parameter. What is going to happen here? Here also, actual parameter, actual title. I'm going to getting self dot driver dot title. After getting the title, if the actual title is equal to the title is equal to dashboard hyphen no commerce administration administration, isn't it? So if it is the title, then obviously what happens here? Asset true. The test case is going to become a true, isn't it? Otherwise, else asset false. Yeah. So now two test cases I'm just trying to be test now. So that's all. Our project is done. Now I'm trying to execute through the type through the uh, terminal using PyTest. Using PyTest. Right. So now what is going to happen here? Obviously, we are going to reach to the PyTest space hyphen v hyphen yes, isn't it? So where to reach? We have to reach to the test cases. Within the test cases, we need to execute test underscore login. Yeah, that is the common info. No section common info. No such section called common info. Hold on, please. Config.ini. Oh, I think it's a double quotation. Yeah. Okay. In read properties. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. 1 second. Hold on, please. See here, I made a mistake. Here it's not combinedly is supposed to be written. It has to make it as a common info. Therefore, it is not getting recognized. That's an error. Yeah, right. Okay, right. Definitely it will be resolved now. Okay. Is that that string object has no attribute capabilities? Capabilities. Test underscore login. Is there any word called capabilities? I have written capabilities. Mm.